All right, get interactive. We are live on X Spaces, on YouTube, on Facebook, and of course on myjoyonline.com. We are starting from the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, where President John Mahama has been assuring traders in the central business district of Adum who have lost their merchandise of government support. Now, President Mahama visited the area following a fire outbreak that engulfed 2 buildings housing several shops in the enclave. The fire at the popular Blue Light Arena started around 6 a.m. today and spread rapidly, with firefighters struggling for hours to douse the flames. Eyewitnesses say the fire was triggered by a flickering electricity pole in the area, which sparked the blaze on top floor of one of the buildings.
Yeah, and if it's a share and no man say any and stores are ashy na a idea a your how ye. Enti Nedika meda fire service for us. And modern boy moye ya omwetimi abre ejano ano ase. Na ye ano a na yahwe nia ema ni si enso ade ba ko a fire for aka kire me ne se ombedru ye no se na ombetimi awure mu etimi akodum jano eno ya ade ba ko a eha omuye na wo hwe a ye dwam bebre saa na tie enti eja to mu a se na fire for betimi edru ho etimi edum janentem no na abeye ohaw ama omo enti o se yefde di we su anyansa na ye hwe ye dwa no da ye planning ye se na be ya bibi kosi a na etimi aso ano ntem enti ye ni minister ne edwadifo no ebeka ya ka kire NADMO se ombehwe na omompe emoabi emfa mo omo kakra ye ni chief of staff nso bekasa enti nia Asante regional minister eni ombeka no na ya hwe emo a ebetimi den aboa omo se na be ya omo so ombenya yi comfort kakra omo eni ohawa ato omo no se na be ya ye bebre anu ase kakra and so senior mekan no say o si ye hwe ye dwane nyina na ye hwe se na ebesiesie nyoma afa se na be ya bibi se sia enkosi sa achina biom ye gina hey ultimate to say explosion be cause wo ho ni na ye gas cylinder se wate ba ko ni na ye gas cylinder se explode ejom eni se ye use gas cylinder e wodwom eni se enu aduane wodwom o pese o didi a o se o ko abonten koto aduane bra na onua wo fie na o de aduane no bra e ba dwom and so gas cooker ne sa nyoma ni na e ka ho e na sa nyoma esi and so ne wo ho ne se mema omo a sa atorenchemi aka omo no mema omo ko se na aban so be hwe se ne be ya ye betimi aso omo mu kakra madam wase.
All right, so Mr. President, all right, that is the President, John Dramani Mahama. He spoke in Chi, and he has indicated that what has happened here is rather unfortunate, but his government, alongside NADMO, would be doing a lot to help the traders who have been affected. We are trying our best to speak to Dr. Frank Amwakohinim, but it is very difficult because he's joining the President who is moving out of the Ashanti region, and also NADMO officials who are here. We're finding it difficult to interact with them because they are all going to join the regional minister and the President. But John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic, is here at Adum, Blue Light, where fire engulfed several shops and blocks. The fire, we are being told, that as at now is still not over. These are traders cheering up the President. The traders are cheering up the President for being able to join them and speaking to them. Thank you very much. And so that's what you see on your screens here. The streets of Adum very busy, very tight, all because fire engulfed major parts of the central business district. We were unable to speak to the Ashanti regional minister, but earlier he had indicated that what had happened is rather unfortunate, and we also engaged traders who have been counting their losses. We also saw NADMO officials here, And from the indication that President John Mahama has given, that means that NADMO officials will be taking up the matter and giving out measures of help that would be laid out to the traders going forward. The president indicated that this is a lesson for all of us. What we've seen here today is an unfortunate situation, especially for the inner perimeter of blue light where they are unable to get in. I mean, for the fire service, they are unable to get in to quench the fire from that end. And that is where the fire is actually spreading from. Moves from the blue lights, the inner perimeter where the fire service is unable to enter, and it goes into other blocks opposite the Roman Hill. As I speak to you, those blocks have been affected by the outbreak. The fire that started from this block next to the Despite building moved all the way or swept through that block to the other blocks, moved to shops and blocks opposite the second phase of the KJTR Market project, and then moved to the other phase of the business district, the CBD, that is equally opposite the Roman Hill. It tells you the gravity of the outbreak and the situation that we're talking about. And also the inner perimeter, which is now facing severe outbreak, because that is where the fire tenders are unable to enter. And that is closer, much more closer to the Despite building, and up the Despite building is where we have Hello FM. Fortunately, that building is not experiencing or hasn't been touched by the outbreak, but the back of it is where the situation is dire. We've spoken to traders who say that this is very much unfortunate, as at 4 a.m. they started receiving calls that their shops had been engulfed by fire on a Friday morning. That is very, very severe. And the traders are still saying that despite efforts by the National Fire Service, their shops have been ravaged. They've been destroyed totally by the outbreak. And that has led to the regional minister, Frank Amwako-Hene, coming here early in the morning. And now we had President John Mahama himself, alongside other government officials, driving to the CBD. This is after the president launched the Tree for Life initiative. He had to come here quickly, indicating that upon his arrival, the regional minister had told him or prompted him about the outbreak. And considering the gravity of the situation, it was left upon him to come and see for himself and then lay out measures that could be put in place to avert a reoccurrence, and also to ascertain for himself what can be done to make sure that the traders who had been affected by the outbreak get something or get a support from government. That is what the president has touched on. But as I speak to you, the fire is still burning in there. The fire hasn't been quenched. It's still severe. And the fire tenders, 11 of them that we were told had come in, are still in here doing their best. Contractor, that is the contractor in charge of the phase 2 of the KJTR Market project, is also helping with water supply to the National Fire Service.
All right, so that was live from Kumasi. Early on, we will take you back to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, to understand what the situation is at this very moment. But this is attracting the attention of the Ashanti regional caucus in Parliament. And they are calling on the Minister for Interior, who is also a member of the caucus, to take immediate action to investigate the alarming trend of market fires, especially in the Ashanti region, and implement concrete measures to prevent further devastation. Now, expressing frustration over the government's slow response, the caucus lamented the Ghana National Fire Service struggle to combat large-scale fire due to outdated equipment, inadequate water supply, and limited personnel. But with key commercial hubs like Swami Magazine, Kwadaso Wood Market, Konongo Mining Store recently gutted by fire, the caucus said the Ashanti region, which is one of Ghana's major economic centers, cannot afford to endure these disasters without urgent intervention. The group is demanding that the government focus more attention on resourcing the Ghana National Fire Service to enhance its emergency response capabilities and protect businesses, livelihoods, and investments. Now, on the screen now is that statement that I just brought you from the Ashanti MPP Parliamentary Caucus in the Ashanti region. So there you have it on your screens now. Right. So let me take you back to the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi, scene of the fire outbreak this morning. Adum, that's a business district. Nana Adum has been monitoring this situation all morning. Then he joins me for the very latest. So Nana, I mean, paint a picture of the situation in Adum for us.
Well, Elton, just as we had indicated earlier, the fire started or happened at the Central Business District, Adum to be specific. It started from a building next to the Despatch building. I know you know Kumasi very well. And on top of that building, that is where the fire started. And there were fire tenders who came in to make sure that they quenched the fire from the top of the building where the fire had started. But all the efforts that they had put in place did not yield results because their machine was unable to reach the last floor. I mean, that is where the fire had started. And so that led to a widespread of the fire that took place in the CBD. So it moved from the top floor, middle floor, to the last floor. So the entire floor for that particular block that was engulfed by fire. It did not just end there. It swept quickly and rapidly to the next building, opposite the TVET, where you see the boys sell their phones. Opposite that area, there's a top floor over there. They've also made sales of phones and other equipment. That place was also affected by the fire. The first floor, the second floor, and the last floor was also engulfed by the fire. Now, the other block that is opposite the Otumfo roundabout, in fact, the second phase of the Kebitia market project, that block opposite there, where you see that traders ply their goods on the street, that place was also engulfed by the fire. This is because the inner perimeter of the CBD, that's the back of the Despatch building,
right,
where you see that the traders sell the watches, that place where they call the blue light, that place where the traders sell the meats, the watches and other items, also got engulfed by the fire. And that is where the problem is. That area is very difficult to enter because the fire tenders were not able to stretch their machine to that particular end because the machine could not even find a way into that particular scene where the fire had ravaged hundreds of goods and hundreds of items. And so they had to stand on the streets of the Despatch block or Despatch building,
right,
in front of the Hello FM block. On that street, that's where the fire tenders were standing, and they were stretching their machine backwards. But because the machine cannot go backwards, they were finding it difficult to quench the fire in the inner perimeter, and that led to a widespread of the fire. And so even shops opposite Roman Hill, down there, I must say, when you are down Roman Hill, shops on the overhead were all engulfed by this particular outbreak, indicating the severity of the issue on the ground.
So as we speak, what is the situation? Is the fire under control?
Well, they've been able to put some places under control. The building where the fire started from has been put under control. The Despatch building has been well secured. But the inner perimeter where the traders make sale, where we call the blue light itself, is where the difficulty is right now because just as we spoke to the Deputy National Security Coordinator, they had indicated that it is difficult for the fire tender machines to enter. And so they have to bring in excavators to break down the walls that are all over the places. While the President, John Mahama, had arrived, these excavators had also moved in to make sure that they break down the walls. And so efforts are in to break down the walls and then get the fire tender machines to enter and quench the fire from that end. If that is done swiftly, then they will be able to quench the fire totally. As I speak to you, the newly appointed fire chief is in there with her team. They are also putting in measures to make sure that they are able to quench the fire swiftly. The traders have also been calling on government to not just equip with the fire service with these machines, but to provide a helicopter to make sure that when something of this sort happens, especially in an inner perimeter, they will be able to resolve it.
Few issues here. We understand that some people got injured at the peak of this firefighting by the Ghana National Fire Service.
Exactly. We are told that one person from the National Fire Service was injured. He was at the top floor trying to help the traders salvage their goods. But unfortunately, he fell down. We tried to get the details from the and other fire service operatives who were at the scene. They told us that he has been sent to the hospital, and they are going to make sure that everything that he needs is being provided, but no other personnel is affected whatsoever. So measures have been put in place to avert a reoccurrence on the part of the fire operatives who are in there to make sure that they quench the fire.
And whilst the traders, the victims, were counting their losses, other people also decided to undertake a stealing spree. Give us an update on this.
That is what we call boys are also trying to find their way to eat, but then unlawfully, because this is the time where traders are counting their losses. And while the traders are crying and they are in tears, they are trying to salvage their goods, they are bringing their items from their shops, those items that were not burnt. We also had some individuals who took advantage of this. One gentleman who I saw for myself had picked up a box of phones, a box of mobile phones, and he was carrying it on his head. If you see him out, you think that he is also a trader who is actually trying to save his items from getting burnt. But then, to my surprise, he was attacked by the real owner of the items, and then the other boys had to come in. They had to ambush him and then beat him. But the police were able to quickly get to his aid. They took him, arrested him. They kept him somewhere that he would not be able to be caught by the angry or aggrieved traders. And not just him, another individual was also caught trying to steal from these traders who were counting their losses. Rather unfortunate that while we have our mothers, our friends, and our colleagues counting their losses, we have these intolerant individuals trying to steal from them. But then gladly, we had the police coming swiftly to make an arrest.
We'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much, Adum, giving us live update from the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi, on the fire that engulfed some parts of the business district of Adum, resulting in the destruction of two properties. Now, remember, President Mahama is in Ashanti region for a different matter, but had to go and witness things for himself. And he made mention of the fact that NADMO will collaborate with the Regional Coordinating Council to bring some relief to victims of the fire incident, and was not happy that people are still cooking in the market. Explosions were heard, obviously, from gas cylinders left in the shops of some individuals. So is there a preliminary findings of this fire? Because the Ashanti Regional MPP caucus, they are unhappy with the fire situation in the Ashanti region. Let me bring in Divisional Officer Grade 2, Desmond Aka, Head of Public Relations for the Ghana National Fire Service. Mr. Aka, good to have you here on the pulse. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
Great. So it's past 3 p.m. Almost 10 hours since we reported this incident. So far, is the situation under control, or has been doused?
Well, let me say a very good afternoon to your cherished viewers. I must say that we have fought tremendously well to be able to bring this fire under control. Mm-hmm. What it means is that the situation is out of danger. There is no cause for alarm now. What we are currently doing is what we term overhaul, just to get to the various pockets of fire to ensure that we extinguish the fire totally. The unfortunate news here is that one of our men got injured whilst salvaging some property, and then one civilian also had to also got injured. A falling debris fell on the person's head and was rushed to the hospital. I understand they are both in stable condition and there is no cause for alarm. And so the challenge that we faced in getting access to the exact spot of the fire really demands that now the fire service has to be seriously be retooled with modern firefighting and rescue equipment. Because if we had those equipment, like the firefighting drones, with this accessibility challenge, we would have been able to get closer to the fire, to be able to apply the required extinguishing medium to be able to deal with the situation. Initially, we were struggling with locating effective hydrants around the immediate distance. So luckily for us,
I know this area. This is a very congested area.
Sure. So we had to get water from the new KJTR market, and that helped us. And with the help of our sisters from the police, and then some water tankers from the contractors, and those contractors responsible for the second phase of the KJTR redevelopment project. So because of that, we have been able to largely extinguish the fire on the affected building. That is the origin of fire, the building that was gutted initially, and then extended the fire. So that is by way of an update on our side.
All right.
And currently, to the chief fire officer is also at the scene. I mean, she is very much aware of the situation, and she had to move in with the director of operations to assess the situation, and then also to ginger the firefighters who have worked tirelessly to bring the situation under control. It tells you how serious our top management takes this fire.
All right. Let's now talk about the challenges that you face. Apart from accessibility issues, you referenced the fact that the nature of the fire requires something more than the equipment that you took to the place to bring it under control. Walk us through the challenges and why it's difficult for you to fight this kind of fires. Hello, Ms. Aka, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I asked, yes.
So the ideal situation is that for every fire situation, when we get there, and after our initial size up, we should be able to get direct access to the fire. Once we are not getting direct access to the fire, it means technically that we have to lay more hoses. And the more hoses that you lay to be able to get closer to the fire, the more...
We are having technical issues. I mean, the connection to him is beginning to act up. Let's see if we can re-establish better connection to... yes, I can hear you now. Please go on.
And when that happens, effectively, you don't get the water, or that brings about delay. So with what we faced this morning, with what we faced this morning, it means that with the wind direction and all the combustible nature of the stalls and the structures that were involved, it became very difficult for us to contain the fire. But be as it may, and we also trying to overcome situations like this. We're able to go around the fire the hard way. And it took us more than 5 hours to be able to bring this situation under control. I'm hoping that when the congestion, the space, the needed space is created within the next hour or two, we should successfully.
But beyond the creation of access so that it will facilitate your work more effectively, we are told that the fire tender closer to Adum is out of service. And we are also even told that even if there's be a fire outbreak at the Konfanoti Teaching Hospital, your response time will not be appropriate because the fire tender there also is out of service.
Yes, that is the reality. But, you know, for the past few years, we have drummed home to the fact that we are challenged. These engines are way beyond 15 years. Ideally, they are supposed to be changed every 5 years, but that is not the case. So as and when they break down, we channel the little resources that we have in fixing them, and that is what we've been able to do. So even this one, the first tender had to come from Chapatre. Instead of 25 minutes, we managed to use 10 minutes. This shows how committed we are. And therefore, when we are given the state-of-the-art equipment and fire engines, multi-purpose fire tenders, the drones, the air firefighters and all that, we'll be able to do much more than what we are seeing. And I'm happy that the president himself has said that he is going to see to it that we are resourced as a matter of urgency, because this is also a security threat. When the fire service is not able to protect people's investment and property, I mean, it goes against all of us. I mean, the economy is affected. So now the president has directed the NADMO to look for some resources to at least to help those who have been affected. So if these fires are prevented in the first place, if the fire service is well resourced, if we are given the needed resources in terms of boosting our awareness creation drive by providing us with more than enough utility vehicles mounted with PA systems, that is where we'll be able to go to every nook and cranny and then offer pragmatic and then a
we appear to be losing, but I have
education, their responsibility to, and when the fires do occur, because having been empowered with the requisite training, they'll be able to deal with the situation such that the impact will not be as what we are seeing now. So it behoves on the state and every well-meaning Ghanaian to join in this conversation for the fire service to be retooled as quickly as possible for us to be able to deliver on our mandate.
And your men, they've been on the ground since 6 a.m. What is your preliminary investigations telling you?
Well, it is early days yet, even though there are speculations that the fire might have erupted as a result of a mishap in the electrical system in the affected four-level structure at Adum PZ. We cannot wholly depend on that. So currently, our investigative team, they are on the ground. As I've already indicated, the chief officer is also there. The motivation is there. The morale is there. They have been provided with some minimum resources to be able to keep them going, because to stand on your feet for more than 8 hours to fight such a hellish fire is no joke. And that is why people should see reason with us and then support us. We understand that when they got there, people wanted to assault them, forgetting and not knowing the fact that they were coming from another jurisdiction, which should have even taken them more time to even appear there.
Right.
So it behoves on all of us to also ensure that we advocate for the fire service to be resourced.
Sometimes my disappointment with the service is that you don't tell us the outcome of your investigations. For example, not far from where this fire happened this morning, it's the Kajitia market. There was a fire outbreak last year. Up until now, we don't even know what caused the fire and what remedial measures you recommended for implementation. President Mahama was unhappy that people are still cooking in the markets. Even whilst he was speaking, he heard of explosion, obviously coming from a gas cylinder or something of a sort. So in terms of telling us what happened and the ways to prevent it going forward, we don't get to read the outcome of some of your investigations most of the time.
Elton, you will bear with me that I have time and over again even appeared on your screens to be able to give some cogent fire safety education. And it is not just me, it is a whole team that has been up and doing with us. Every fire that we fight, every fire that is reported to us gets investigated, and the outcome is clearly stated in our report. It behoves on the property owner to request for it. And then periodically, when we get to educate the general public, we put those courses out, just that we are not specific,
right? But
just that we tell the general public that these are the causes of fires, and therefore let us adhere to these safety messages that we are churning out. So if you want a copy of that report, the KJTIA report, it is available.
We'll come
when you
for
get to the market managers, you will get it, and therefore we know everything that pertains to it. But you see, to a larger extent, we should stop playing the ostrich and then allow state institutions to enforce their regulations. Many a times, when we move in to enforce our regulation, you get people from all over telling us this is order from above, people pleading on behalf of others. So when we stop this attitude and allow the authorities to work and enforce our regulation, I mean, look at this highly congested place. If the place had not been so crowded, it would have afforded us to get to the fire scene to be able to deal with the situation. Now we've spent more than 8 hours dealing with this fire situation, which could have been dealt with within an hour or less. So why are we doing this to ourselves? So it is high time we all contributed our quota and ensured and supported our institutions to enforce the law. Where there are unauthorized structures, we should break them and ensure that they are not put up.
Right.
But you would realize that just after this fire, you would see that they are building, and you will have important personalities supporting them to build. What kind of country are we building? So, Elton, so some of the blames, you can put it on our doorsteps. What we are concerned in is that as a service, and has been led by our able chief officer, Daniela Mausinto, we are ever committed to churn out contemporary, pragmatic, fire safety education that would cause change in attitude now, in the attitude of our Ghanaian public, such that they will be able to kind of put in place adequate measures and then support us to be able to serve their interests. If the support doesn't come, if they tend to continue to assault us, they tend to vandalize our overage vehicles, I mean, what good are they doing to us? If you, the fourth estate of the realm, that is the media, also do not ask people in high authority government that when is the Ghana National Fire Service, the promises that you've made to them, when are they receiving the attendance? If you don't call them to order, I mean, when are we going to get them? So please, it also behoves on you to also play your role. Let us also play our role. Let's support each other and get the work done.
I know that in the 2025 budget, there's a provision. There's commitment by government to reach to the vice. We'll monitor to ensure that it is done. But before I let you go, do you have personnel in all the major markets as directed by the president after the recent fire outbreak here in Accra?
Yes, we have more than enough. The issue is that every day between 6 p.m. and then 6 a.m. the next day, we have our team going on patrol. But the issue boils down to resources. Is the same tender that we have to move around to do this patrol, and knowing the attendant issues with them. It is not everywhere that has this tender. And therefore, what we have devised newly is that during the daytime, we also have the market task force and the education team that go there to engage them one-on-one. Even in the major markets, we also have some messages on tape where we give it to the information centers so that they play. Right. But even if people are trading and doing their stuff in the market, at least they're able to hear one or two, which they are able to inculcate in their daily lives. So I believe that by and large, if we are well-resourced, we'll be able to do this and do it more effectively to ensure that we nip these incessant commercial fires at bay.
Let me leave you to enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for talking to us this afternoon. That's the Head of Public Relations for the Ghana National Fire Service. Now, let me take you to Parliament because the minority in Parliament, they've warned it will not support government's plan to increase the rates of the growth and sustainability levy. Finance Minister Dr. Casey Alatoforsen in the 2025 budget announced that levy will increase from 1% to 3%. The Ghana Chamber of Mines has petitioned Parliament's Finance Committee to reconsider the proposed increase. Speaking on the floor of Parliament, Deputy Minority Leader Habib Idrisu announced a side decision to vote against the increase.
I realize that we'll be sitting on Monday, 24th. But what he failed to do is to, Deputy Leader, Standing Order 6, Decision Day. You need to make provisions for that. Because it is not everything on that budget document and the financial bills that you are presented that we are going to support. Some of them we are not in support of it, and we are not going to cooperate with you with regards to that. So there must be provisions for Decision Day. And if you look at Standing Order 6, it is clear there that you should make provisions for business statements. For instance, this your growth and sustainability levy. It is something we will not support. Definitely, you cannot be taxing people, excessive tax in the mining sector, which is the engine for growth, and you want us to support it. Definitely, there are some of the issues that we are definitely not going to support. And Mr. Speaker, the first issue that I raised, I know that the Majority Chief Whip is giving legal support to the Deputy Majority Leader. But the most important thing is that if you cannot provide us the name of the banks, you said some, even though it's not captured, it is not necessary for the governor to come here to brief us. What the governor should concentrate now is the monetary policy, where he, as the governor, need to be able to work to control the cedi to the dollar, which is about 16 cedi to the dollar today. That is the work of the governor of Bank of Ghana. But not to come and brief us on certain matters that we have settled. So, Mr. Speaker, the deputy majority leader should be guided about that.
Meanwhile, the minority is also demanding the full list of all banks and other financial institutions that will feature in the Bank of Ghana's governor's briefing to Parliament next Wednesday. Deputy Minority Leader again, Habib Idrisu, has also been warning that given a number of the collapsed institutions are challenging the revocation of the license in court, Parliament must hasten slowly.
On page 2 of the business statement, the Deputy Majority Leader said, Committee of the Whole, the Governor of Bank of Ghana to brief the House on the circumstances leading to the collapse of the banks and financial institutions from 2013 of the financial institution from 2013 to 2024. Mr. Speaker, I think the Deputy Leader needs to provide us at least the names of the banks. He said some banks. Because, Mr. Speaker, we are all aware that this House Parliament approved for the restructuring of the banks. Subsequently, there was a committee that was set up after a petition from Kobna before. And many of these banks have cases in court. And if we are not careful and we are to entertain such in this House, we will actually be interfering in some work that the courts are doing. And I don't think that this House at the moment, we should be entertaining the Governor of Bank of Ghana coming to brief us on matters, settled matters, that Parliament itself have reports on matters that are before the courts. That is why I'm saying that if he is saying that to brief the House on the circumstances leading to the collapse of the banks, in what you put in the business statement, there is nothing like some, unless mine is different from what you have. Because you said the Governor of Bank of Ghana to brief the House on the circumstances leading to the collapse of the banks and other financial institutions from 2013 to 2024. So, Mr. Speaker, I think this part of the business statement is actually completely unnecessary, and I don't think that we will need that, and we will be interfering in so many things.
And we'll stay in Parliament a little longer because the governor of the central bank is set to appear before the House on Wednesday to provide a comprehensive briefing on the collapse of some banks. Those concerns is what you heard from the whip on the minority side. Also, an anticipated appearance by the Interior Minister on Tuesday meant to address the search warrant executed at the residence of a former governor of the Bank of Ghana has also been put on hold as Parliament prepares to grill the BOG governor. The shift in timeline for the Interior Minister's briefing raises fresh questions about the circumstances surrounding the search and the broader implications for the financial sector. Parliamentary correspondent Koko Asante joins me on via Zoom for a quick update on this matter. Koko, let's start with the briefing by the Interior Minister. Is it certain that it will be before the House on Tuesday?
So first off, two things. When the Deputy Majority Leader, Kweku Rikesegan, was presenting the business statement for the ensuing week, it did indicate that there will be two briefings that will come by way of Committee of the Whole next week. One, the Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Johnson Esiama, providing an update on the specifics having to do with the revocation of licenses. And like you said, that is what we did hear Habib Idrisu raising concerns about. So that is one. But before that also, the expectation was that the Interior Minister will brief Parliament on the search conducted at the home of the former Bank of Ghana governor, Dr. Ernest Addison. So let's listen to Rekete Hagan first, and I'll give you the update in terms of the new scheduling that Mahama, the majority leader, has been providing.
There will be a committee of the whole. The governor of the Bank of Ghana will come to brief the House on the circumstances leading to the collapse of the bank, of some banks and some financial institutions from 2013 to 2024. Mr. Speaker, to go back on a Tuesday, Mr. Speaker, the committee has also scheduled the Minister of Interior to come to the House and brief us on Tuesday, the 25th of March, 2025, on the circumstances leading to the raid of the residence of the former governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison.
Right. So with this briefing, is it by question, or this is a decision taken by the minister to brief the House?
The two issues will be by way of committee of the whole. The entire House will be briefed. When it comes to the Bank of Ghana issue, it is on the basis of some concerns raised by the minority leader at the business committee. That is the information put at the plenary, that it was the minority leader that requested that the Bank of Ghana governor provides that update to the House. Regarding the issue of Dr. Ernest, of the Interior Minister, we do not know yet how exactly that came by and who raised those issues at the business committee for that to be programmed. But even before that, there's been some change of schedule. You have Rekete Hagan say that the minister will come on Tuesday, but the majority leader, Mahama, now says he has been speaking with the Interior Minister and he will not be available on Tuesday. And so a proper scheduling will be found within the week to deal with this. But Mahama has also been defending the search at the house of the former Bank of Ghana governor. He says it was not a raid and that it was a search conducted by way of a properly obtained warrant from a court, and he is not even happy that a clerk to their business committee did put in their report that there will be a raid. Listen to the majority leader on the floor.
Item 6, briefing of the House. So, Speaker, I have reached out to the Minister for the Interior. He's unavailable on Tuesday to brief the House. So the Minister is unavailable on Tuesday to come and brief the House. And also that we cannot be bringing ministers to come and brief the House. The rules are clear. You want to ask the minister a question, you ask him a question. And he comes to answer. But you say you are bringing a minister to come and brief the House. Under which standing orders are you bringing a minister to come and brief the House? The rules are clear on what is to be done, which is you ask the minister a question, he comes. If it's a statement the minister has to make, he comes and makes the statement. And also to correct the records, the committee clerk uses the word leading to the raid. Raid is not an appropriate expression of what happened. I think that law enforcement officers lawfully went there to conduct a search, and it is perfectly lawful. And so to use the word raid is clearly wrong. So I want that deleted from the records, that this House describes what happened as raid. You haven't even looked into it. You don't know the facts. You haven't been properly briefed, and you're already describing it as raid. So the clerk should be careful what expressions are used. So that should be deleted.
But what else can you report from the House?
Well, as we speak, the debate on the 2025 budget is still in earnest. About 20 MPs are expected to debate today. So far, about half of them have debated. It's ongoing. The expectation is that all other members will conclude their debate today. And then on Monday, when the House resumes, the leaders, led by both Mahama and Alexander Afenyo-Markin, will conclude the debate on the 2025 budget. Then from Tuesday, the various committees will be tasked to present their estimates of the various ministries, departments, and agencies, which will ultimately culminate in the appropriation budget on Friday next week. By this time, Parliament will be expecting to adjourn, sign down for Eid al-Fitr, I should say, and then the Easter break.
All right, Kogu, thank you so much for coming through. And just the latest on this raid that took place at the home of the former governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison. And of course, we are also learning the arrest of the Director General of the Ghana Signals Bureau, Kwabena Adum, at the Kotoka International Airport yesterday upon his arrival from the United Kingdom. The Minister for the Interior, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, is assuring that any excesses identified in the ongoing race on the homes of former appointees will be addressed and punished accordingly. And we will have that video of him saying that on Joy News pretty shortly. But he is expected to be presented before Parliament somewhere next week to brief the House on what really is happening. Of course, we'll take a short break right here on the pulse. When we return, we'll talk about Boko and what President Mahama has been promising. All right, today Upper East region, where President Mahama has condemned the recent killing of a military officer in Boko in the Upper East region. Addressing the people of the region in Bogatanga on Thursday during his thank you tour, the president said the members of the Ghana Armed Forces were there to keep the peace of the area and described the killing of the soldier as unacceptable. He also condemned the brutalities meted out to civilians by the military in response to the killing of one of their own.
I wish to take this opportunity to condemn the killing of a member of the Ghana Army recently in Boko. The members of the Ghana Armed Forces in the conflict zone are peacekeepers who have been sent there to protect life, limb, and property. It is unacceptable for them to become targets of a conflict to which they are not a party to. I, in the same vein, wish to condemn the high-handed response of our men in uniform, which resulted in assaults and injury of many innocent civilians. I can understand the righteous anger at the loss of a colleague serviceman, but we must exercise restraint and use effective intelligence gathering to identify and bring the culprits to book. I wish on this occasion to extend my condolence to the family of the deceased soldier, and at the same time to extend my sympathies to all those who were assaulted or injured in the military counteraction. The progress of our nation depends on the shared effort of all its people towards a common purpose and a collective vision for prosperity.
President Mahama is also asking feuding factions to cooperate with the Asante Inotun forces to the second, who is currently mediating the peace process.
What future do we promise our children if they inherit walls of mistrust instead of bridges of hope? A nation divided by past wounds cannot march forward into the promise of tomorrow. We must commit to living above the slights and injuries of yesterday if we will seize the opportunities and promises of tomorrow. Peace can and peace must reign in Boko and surrounding areas. I called His Majesty Otumfuo Osei Tutu II yesterday to thank him for his the commencement of his mediation efforts to find a peaceful resolution of the conflict in Boko. It is my hope that all parties to the conflict who took part in the mediation process in Meishia last week will consider the proposals with an open mind and return in good faith to the negotiations when they resume in 2 weeks' time.
All right, now let's talk about something that is the favorite of many Ghanaians, the passion of the nation. It used to be. Now, everything has been done to bring their love back. And one of it is starting today. Ghana is facing Chad in a World Cup qualifier. And Black Stars head coach Otuado is assuring Ghanaians his team is ready and prepared to win against Chad in the 2026 World Cup qualifier. That is happening at Accra Sports Stadium at 7 p.m. today. The Black Stars could go on top of Group I with a win, following the Stars' inability to qualify for next year's African Cup of Nations. Support for the team has waned, with President Mahama rallying the team for victory. Otuado is confident of victory. We'll hear from him shortly, but first though, listen to the chairman of the Youth and Sports Committee, Nelson Nogbe, who told the team after a visit by his committee that the entire nation is behind them.
We see the 39 million Ghanaians in the stadium, the 278 MPs, 278 constituencies. Members of those constituencies will be at the stadium to cheer you. We know Ghana is a football-loving country, and we are all yearning to go to US, Mexico, and then Canada next year. We want to play the final in US, yes, which we are very much hopeful. Yes, we are playing finals in the US. So we are here in the name of Ghana. We are here in the name of our constituents and the constituencies to motivate you and say that we are behind you solidly. Put everything behind. Teamwork is most critical thing. And if Ghana is behind you, the spirit of the nation is behind you, I'm not sure you will falter on this pitch. And I know by the end of the day, on tomorrow, by the end of the day, you will come victorious and you win and will bag all the 3 points. And as I said earlier, we will be here. Maybe you may see the speaker himself here in the stadium cheering you up. All that we want you to know is that Ghanaians are behind you. We are all behind you. We want to qualify for 2026 World Cup, and I know you are also determined to do that. And we can only hope and pray that at the end of the day, victory will come to us. We wish you very well, and may the Almighty God strengthen our feet to contain the 90+ minutes that will play the football match on this pitch.
Well, the ranking member on the Youth and Sports and Recreational Committee, Vincent Eko Esafua, is urging the team to give up their best in the game. That's today at 7 p.m.
Happy to be here first and foremost, and to add my voice to the chairman to congratulate you on your nomination to be part of this team. My words will be very few. If it is about money, I know that most of you won't be here. But I know that it is the love for your country, the patriotism aspect of raising the flag of Ghana high. It is on that basis that most of you are here. I can only plead and urge you that as professionals, concentration is very key, especially for that 90 minutes. If we lose just 2 minutes or even a minute of concentration, we may have a problem. And I am pleading with you because of the love that the Ghanaian people have for football. Sometimes that is the only time that you find all the country, members of the country, MPP, NDC, singing in one unison, saying that we love our football. And so we are pleading with you that tomorrow concentration is very key. And I'm sure that within that 90 minutes, if you're able to do so, you will come out with flying colors. Thank you so much.
All right, so the country has recruited somebody to coach the Black Stars, but you know that in Ghana, everybody is a coach. So everybody has an opinion to share. But the man who has a responsibility to guide the team to victory is Adum. And he says his team will not disappoint the country, and that his team, they've been training well, and they hope to secure the 3 points later this evening.
We're really, really happy for that. This is the support everyone to feel in a good environment, to give their best, and then to win. And I'm very, very sure that we don't disappoint you. And we've been doing well in the training. They prepared well. I'm very, very happy to have the squads here. The way they train, the way they move together, they stick together, the way they discuss things now. And yeah, I'm really, really positive about tomorrow. Thank you once again. Like I said, we don't take it for granted, Sports Minister, that you come in every day to support us, to watch us. Thank you very much, the members of Parliament, and we meet in future and we'll make you proud.
Right, so the game time is 7 p.m. at the Accra Sports Stadium, and I think it will be the first. Okay, the last Black Stars game was played at the Accra Sports Stadium. I was going to say that. I mean, this will be the first in so many in time past that the team is playing at the Accra Sports Stadium. But our last game that we drew or we lost.
We lost.
We lost to Niger, right?
Not too long ago.
Niger.
Only in November, yeah.
Niger, exactly, at the Accra Sports Stadium. And that sealed our disqualification for the AFCON.
Yes. We're already not going before the game.
So I was listening to you on game plan.
Yes.
And the whole week you've been on this matter.
Yes.
I mean, you would say that in terms of pedigree in football in Africa, Chad, they come nowhere close, Ghana. But that can be deceiving.
Can be.
And so what should be our approach tonight?
I think, African football has changed a lot over the years. In times past, it was inconceivable for anybody to suggest that Niger would not only beat Ghana, but would come to Ghana and beat Ghana in Ghana. But it happened under Otuado.
Right.
So we have seen crazier things happen. And so Chad coming into this game in 4 World Cup qualifying matches, they have 0 points. They don't even have a draw. They are
last on the
without
table.
a doubt the worst team in the group. Before this game, they struggled to put a team together. Every single member of that team plays in Chad. When they came here, there were images that came out of the Chad players working out in the gym, and some of them looked like they had never seen a treadmill before. It's just all of it just to say that Chad, on the basis of what we know about their team, about their players, they don't even have a single professional player in their team. And yet, we've seen circumstances where this Black Stars team have struggled. So, and I think that significantly, what would be essential would be that they start this game and start well. The coach has a lot to prove. In those 6 AFCON qualifiers, he didn't win a single game. And I like the tune that he's singing, especially at that pre-match press conference. He said he takes full responsibility for what happened, and he wants to be forgiving, but this is a new chapter. And to be fair to the coach, in the World Cup qualifying, he's played 2 games. He's won both of those matches. So in this particular competition, he has done well.
Right.
And in this game against Chad, I think the most essential thing to win in this game is to start well. The fans can easily get frustrated, especially in Accra. The fans are very impatient.
They're very unforgiving.
Very unforgiving. So in the first 10 minutes, 20 minutes, they need to get a goal. That will calm nerves. That will absolutely get the fans roaring behind them, and that can spur them on to go and win. I think expectedly, they will win this game.
Because, I mean, people have already determined that, I mean, it's done.
They have to win. But yeah, you have to guard against complacency.
Exactly.
But I think that for all intents and purposes, I think Ghana will, they are more than capable of winning this game. Look, if they don't win against Chad, they have no business going to the World Cup. So I think they will win against Chad. How well they play, for me, is not even significant at this point. What is essential is just to get the 3 points. What is even more important would be that game against Madagascar on Monday. Now, the way they win against Chad will be important. And this is why it will be significant. Because there is a very short turnaround time between this match and the next game on Monday, it will be important that they start well, settle the game by at least the 50th minute so he can rest some legs.
Right.
Ahead of that game on Monday, which is...
Are we playing home or away?
Away,
right.
In Morocco.
Meaning we will leave town immediately after this game?
Yes, at 4 a.m. The next morning. And the unfortunate thing about this whole fixture scheduling is that Madagascar played on Wednesday. So they won. So they rested on Thursday, they rested today, they will rest tomorrow, they will rest Sunday before the match on Monday.
And we will have less than 48 hours.
We have literally 24 hours because we will get to Morocco on Saturday and only have a recovery session. Then the only day we literally have to prepare for them is Sunday. So it would be important to rest some legs. And the only way he can rest some legs from some of the key players...
If you take a comfortable lead.
You need a comfortable lead. And that's how everything makes sense.
And I'm guessing that we have what it takes to win convincingly.
We absolutely do have what it takes to win convincingly, especially against Chad. I think for me, I already have eyes on that Madagascar game because they are top of the group. And it's gotten even more intense now the chase for that one slot to the World Cup, because Mali, who are also in Ghana's group, they won their game yesterday away against Comoros, a team that we lost to when we went away.
Right.
Now, Mali have 8 points, just one behind Ghana, and then you have Madagascar, who are top with 10. So you have 10, 9, 8. If Ghana were to win against Chad,
we'll lead by 2 points.
You lead by 2 points, and that will put the pressure back on Madagascar going into that game on Monday.
Right. So, I mean, it is not over yet. No. As far as the qualification is concerned.
No. We've only played 4 matches. There's 6 more games to go. And we're going to play 2 more this week in the next 4 days. And then after that, we'll have 4 more qualifying matches before we can start to think about Destination America.
And because of how we disappointed ourselves in qualifying for the AFCON,
yes,
there's doubts about the capacity of the team to make it to the World Cup, and that skepticism is there. Something that the team must rise to deal with. We've got players that play in the top tier, the EPL and the rest. But usually when they are put together, that is where the difficulty comes.
Yeah.
I don't know whether the team and the coach, they are aware of the exigency of the situation, and then to prepare themselves adequately to face the task.
I think they're fully aware. You know, Jordan Ayew granted us an interview yesterday, an exclusive interview yesterday, where he addressed a lot of those issues dispassionately and honestly. And, you know, and this is something we've not heard. He admitted that the team is undergoing transition and that the transition has not been smooth because we've had too many new players coming in at different times. And we've not, you know, in previous years, like in 2001, when we had the under-20 team transition into the Black Stars, that formed the core of the team that took us to our first World Cup in 2006. And in the 2010 World Cup, when we went all the way to the quarterfinals, we also had a core of the players transitioning from the under-20 team that won the World Cup in 2009. If you look at our recent team, we don't have any players coming in from our under-20s.
No.
In fact, the last game that we played, you look at the starting lineup and only 2 players have ever played for Ghana's youth teams. In times past, that was inconceivable.
Oh, absolutely.
Right now, it is the reality of the situation. So you've got players not born in Ghana being brought into the team. You've also got other players who never played for any of Ghana's youth teams, but they are in the national team. And that sort of situation can create chemistry issues.
Right.
And we know that when it comes to national team, the thing that you don't have, the reason you can buy players at club level from all different countries and it works at Winston, Elton, is because every single day they're training together.
Absolutely.
At club level, so it's okay. You can bring someone from Ghana, someone from Slovenia, Japan, and they will work. Here, the maximum they have together is 4 days.
Right.
Before this game against Chad, all the players that have come in had not seen each other for 4 months. The last time they spotted each other was back in November.
So the gelling is not even there.
It's not there. That's why for national team, it helps when the core of your team is from the youth teams. Now, from the youth teams, they spend a lot of time together.
Right.
So that way, when they come to the national team, even though it's just a few days, they already know each other. Now it's difficult because the players don't know each other. They've not played together for long. And so every time we're having to try to work on chemistry and it's just not working. But I think they know the significance and they know that there are doubts in the minds of Ghanaians. And I think they're determined to prove people wrong. Because listen, the president said it and he's right, that Ghanaians can only forgive them if they qualify for the World Cup.
But he himself said that he's not advised to eat before the game. So, I mean, the number one supporter is even afraid, and he's not sticking his neck out.
So I mean, it tells you about, you know, this is a joke that we make all the time when it comes to the Black Stars. And I think that as much as it's a laughing matter, it also speaks to the inconsistency of the team.
True.
And that you cannot have a national team and you never know what to expect. There was a time when we had a national team, especially in qualifying, when they went into every single game, we always knew what the outcome was going to be. Now with this team, it's really difficult. If not, Elton, there is no way that we should be going into a game against Chad and then we're having and there's this trepidation.
Right.
Like, it makes no sense, but it's the reality. Because the team has not done enough. in the last 2 or 3 years. Maybe let me say since 2019, to be honest. You know, the team has not done enough to instill confidence in the Ghanaians to fully believe in them. This is a new chapter. The coach survived by the skin of his teeth. And I think that he's lucky to be in the job. He knows that. Because under normal circumstances, no Ghanaian coach should go through AFCON qualifying 6 games and not win a single one of them and lose 2 of them at home and still keep a job. So he's like a cat, literally. He has the proverbial 9 lives. He's been given a 3rd chance. He had a 1st, a 2nd. This is a 3rd chance for him. And I think they cannot afford to disappoint. They must win and win convincingly. And then they put themselves in a really good position to try and
the game itself is 2 hours, 45 minutes away.
Yes.
Do you know the starting lineup?
No. So that's something that we don't know. But we know that you can expect to see key players in there. Thomas Partey missed the last international break because the coach left him out over some issues. And Kudus Mohammed, he played the last 2, but we also know that he wasn't happy because they gave him the captaincy for 1 match, then they took it away from him for another game. Then we know that Jordan Ayew was also unhappy because he was overlooked for the captaincy for the Sudan game, then before they gave it. So there have been so many issues, but this is the first time. And Ijiku, in fact, the last call up, 7 players pulled out due to various injuries. You understand? And there were people that thought that didn't believe that they were actually injured. Now, all of those players are now with the team. They say there's a new chapter. Before this qualifies, the GFA, Otoado went on a trip to Europe to speak to every single one of those players. After that, the GFA president and Stephen Appiah, who is the vice chairman of the management committee, also went on another trip to speak to all the players. So that togetherness, that unity is now there. The unity of purpose is now there. We know that Thomas Partey will start. Kudus Mohammed will start. Jordan Ayew will start. Jiku will start. These are big players that must perform on the biggest stage in front of their own fans. After what happened in the AFCON qualifying, there can be no excuse. Everyone must step up.
Let's talk about support. And maybe before we talk about it, is Accra Sports Stadium really ready? I mean, some few weeks back, we reported about the state of affairs at the stadium, things going bad, the washroom, you couldn't even stand there for a minute because of the stench, the pitch itself, a few other things that even CAF had raised issues with. Have we fixed all of those?
Well, I can tell you this. I think that yesterday the coach did a press conference where he said that the pitch looks good. So that is a positive.
Right.
Now, we know that the stadium was given temporary approval. Certain things needed to be fixed, especially after Ghana got temporarily banned from hosting games just before those matches, that match particularly against Niger. What I know is happening at the stadium right now is that this part of the stands will be cordoned off. And there will be no spectators in the parts of the stadium.
Why?
Because there were integrity analysis, structural integrity analysis done on the stadium, and it was discovered that parts of the stadium are not safe for supporters to stand, or else it could collapse. And that part of the stadium is the upper terrace of the side of the stadium facing the Independence Square.
Okay.
So that side of the stadium
will be close to
upper terrace will be close to the fans because the stadium has structural integrity issues. Now, and most of it also has to do with the fact that there is a flat light pole there, and the hinges holding the flat lights are so weak they could collapse on the spectators if they seat spectators in that part of the stadium.
And this is the same that was renovated some few years ago.
2018 to host the women's AFCON. We also know that welding works were ongoing there as late as Wednesday night, where the newly appointed NSA boss, Ampofuankra, said that the 24-hour economy was now in full session because there were welders at the stadium at midnight or at 1 a.m. The bigger question is, Elton, and this is the disappointing part, we have not played a single football game at the Accra Sports Stadium since November 2024. So for 4 months, there's been no activity at the stadium. And we've known that we would host Chad at that stadium since the draw came out almost 2 years ago.
Right.
And we specifically, this is the point, we specifically closed the stadium to league games and sack Hasselhoff and Accra Lions and all these other teams to go to Lagos Stadium because we said we were conserving the Accra Sports Stadium for Black Stars games. And yet
we are not getting it right.
A day to the game, there is still work being done at the stadium as much as last night. So we really need to take another look at our approach to stadium infrastructure management, because at the moment, and I think that what needs to be done, look, I can tell you this, whatever works we continue to do at the Accra Sports Stadium, whatever renovation works we continue to do at the Accra Sports Stadium, it will not work. That stadium needs to be pulled down and rebuilt. It's not fit for purpose. It's not a modern stadium. Look, this is the only country where we still build stadiums and only put a roof over the VIP section.
Yeah.
What are you telling the rest of the fans in the stadium? That they don't deserve some shade? They don't deserve some cover?
They should be roasted by the sun. They should be roasted. Yeah.
It's absolute disrespect.
Just two questions before I let you go. So what do we expect from the supporters? Early on at the front desk of Joy FM, people came in to buy tickets. Looks like the enthusiasm is there. Yeah. What do you expect of them at 7 o'clock when the referee signal the game to start?
I think it's support. I cannot tell the fans that they should forget about what happened in the AFCON qualifying, but they can forgive and give the team a second chance. So right from the blast of the whistle, support, total support. We know that sometimes...
We know Accra support can be sometimes a little acrimonious.
It is also our duty to remind them that when the going gets tough, that's when the players actually need the fans even more. Because what is football support? You cannot just only support in the good times. You also have to support
in bad times.
And the team has gone through a really bad patch. It's time for us to show them that, yes, they can break our hearts, but we are forgiving and that we will rally behind them. So I think that, I'm expecting that the stadium will be full. It's Friday night.
Of course.
We'll have fun.
And it's 7 p.m. too, so enough time to go and do it. So, and Joy FM is doing live commentary from the
we start build up from 6 p.m. All our experts are choose at the stadium, Krante, myself, Musbao, with Sucho, the whole game plan crew will be there. We'll be on radio, on rival coverage, and hopefully we'll get all 3 points for you.
And then, as directed by President Mahama, do we know the budget for this particular game?
No, we do not.
Why?
It's a question.
The president said that everything must be made clear even before the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a legitimate question. But I think that the answer we've had from our inquiries to the people in charge is that the president was mainly referring to budgets for tournaments and not budgets for qualifying series. And my response to that is ridiculous. How does it matter?
Yes.
Why does it matter?
But you need to qualify before you play the tournament.
You understand? And it was revealed that every single qualifying event, every single game can cost the country
almost $1 million.
Almost $1 million, exactly. So it is a lot of money for a single game that we play. Can cost the country something close to that figure. So, it's important to know. And if they respect the president, they should do the disclosure even before we start chasing them for
All right, so you joined Fentio and his team on Joy 99.7 FM on all our social media handles for a live commentary from the Accra Sports Stadium. It is a World Cup qualifier between Ghana and Chad. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. You don't want to miss this. If you are not at the stadium, your best place to be will be on Joy 99.7 FM and all our social media handles. Fentio, thank you so much for coming to wish you the very best as you go to the same, bring us good results. Let's take a short break here on the pause and return to talk about the matters. Now let me take you to the streets of Nima, where poor sanitation remains a major concern for residents. They want government to implement effective measures to improve sanitation in the area. Now residents share their concerns with Joy News' Esther Nkrumah in this report.
Nima is one of Accra's most vibrant but yet challenged communities, known for its bustling streets, small businesses and community sense. It is also home to many young people striving to make a better future for themselves and their community. However, like many Zongo communities, Nima faces serious challenges such as poor sanitation, overcrowded housing, and limited access to basic services. Today on Decks and Ground, we're here at Nima to interact with some of its residents to know their struggles and the expectations they have of the government. As a young person living here in Nima, what is the major challenge that you face?
The challenge is about the sanitation. We are the problem. Like sometimes you know that something like maybe you close from your work or what you are selling, I don't know. After you finish, maybe the rubbish that you gather around, inside of take it, you know where you have to take it to go and put it, but you will not take it. They will leave it there, thinking that maybe in the morning the Zoom Lion trucks will come and take it. But sometimes not like that. It will be there. Sometimes when the rain comes, when the rain to clear it, it is taking it to the gutter. But that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not how it's supposed to be. You have to do the right thing and make it easy for everybody.
Usually you see that a lot of political parties, they come here to campaign during election periods. They make a lot of promises, nice promises, to entice you to vote for them. But after they win the elections, do they come back to do the things that they've promised?
The promises some of them are making, they are fulfilling it. Some of them too are disappointing. From Nima roundabout to Accra Gas, we don't have fire service tender. And if you look at the population from here to Accra Gas, it's more than many constituencies population. But we don't have fire tender. So if some fire catch in these two constituencies, unless we rush to police or police headquarters, you know that there were fire service headquarters there before they will come. If they reach here, it's too late. So they have to try to get some fire tender station for us, temporary, either roundabout or Accra Gas. It's for Nima and Mamobi constituency. If some fire catch some place, they can rush and quench the fire.
So what changes are you looking to see with this new administration? I know the past administration made a lot of promises, and this administration has also made a lot of promises. What changes are you looking to see? What are your expectations?
But actually, the development we need here right now is how to develop the road for us, because there is no any place where you develop some infrastructure. All the places belongs to somebody. Our problem is our gutters and the road. According to my concern, sanitation in the constituency and the sanitation. How you see from Nima roundabout to here, there is no actually boiler tank. Put some place where somebody can carry boiler and go, unless gutter. Mama be gutter. So it is also a problem. So the day the Zombie Lion car did not pass here and pick, you see that the boiler will be here.
So how is sanitation in Nima? We know that there's a case where open defecation is a big problem here and cholera is on the rise. How is it affecting you people here?
Sanitation in Nima is a problem by just a population soon. Nima. Ya dosu. Tama ya schedule ya kono. Junkers Nima. Anajo. Omo ko private toilets. Omo ni go rubber mu no mo aja to. Anopa bia ye ba ye betu toilet wa ha. Afin su bola. Omo ko inside. Eko jiji bola. E wo mo amo schedule apon wie no. No mo akoji bola. No omo agisika. Omo jiwi a ye ni ho no mo dia betu ha. Enti tama ye ya be schedule wi a ya pra ha coffee no. Ye be ba no na bola si ya maye. Yetimi hippie bola maye sama. Etimi yeti se mountain. Na ye de anim omuko rounds eko jiji ne atu omuka mutimi hye ne sak na mu de abegu ha ma enti anytime bia ye be ba bia no na bola hippie e wa ha na toilet nsu fra enti e wo se ye yi obi emaye na aban yi obi na omu monitor sa junkers no se de be ya ma omu mfa bola mfri baby mbetu ha
na wo pese woni ba ni ma say
development ya me here ni say ye kwan. In fact, we saw to the say bread. See ye kwan na a market. Bebre ya ye she jo kwan so no. Ye do so see inside market na wa inside no. Enti the here na buy say no. No me share ye kwan. No me share market mai.
Ne nyina yen to be free ekwan no so. Akwa isad. Na ekwan da ho fefefe ma drivers mu.
We've been speaking to some residents here at Nima on the challenges that they face living in this community. And one of the major challenges is sanitation. And they are also calling for more fire tenders as they don't have any fire tender in this area. Another issue is the market. They say the market is so small, so lots of the market women have to sell by the roadside. And they are calling on government to expand the markets for them as well. From Nima here in Accra, my name is Esther AC Nkrumah for Joy News.
And back here in the studio in today's Ghana Month series, we journey to the Eastern region where a modest White House known as the second in command in the Kumasi state holds a remarkable piece of Ghana's political history. It is a story of royalty, leadership, and an unexpected connection between two of Ghana's presidents, Flight Lieutenant John Rawlings, the late, and Nana Akufo-Addo. But don't take it from us. Kojo Jansen speaks to the curator of the Akwamu Museum, Nana Semenshia, who reviews the full story.
Can you see this white building behind me, this house, with a big flower pot in front of it? Now, I just learned the most mind-blowing piece of information about this house, which is only about 100 meters away from the Akwamuhine's palace. I have just discovered the most fascinating bit of information. But don't take it from me. Let's get the curator of the Akwamu Museum to tell us why this house.
This house is very, very special because it's the second in command in Akwamu State. When the king is not there, that is the house that rules administratively, you know. So that house is very special. And you know what? Akufo-Addo is a royal in the house.
So that means the President Akufo-Addo is actually an Akwamu?
In the CAN system, we go seriously matrilineal. So, Akufo-Addo, by all intents and purposes, is an Akwamu, a typical Akwamu.
So his mother is from this house?
Yes. The grandmother migrated from here to marry in Achim. So to Achim, he's a grandson to the stool. But here, he's a royal.
Okay, well, I mean, while I'm trying to get my head around that interesting piece of information, it turns out he's not the only person who has led this country who came from this house.
Oh, you want to know?
Yes.
Rawlings' mother is from the very house.
What?
Yes. The Abuti, the Kubri News, the Heymans from Keita are all from this house. And today, that is their house. That's their royal house.
So Rawlings' mother is from here?
Yeah.
Akufo-Addo's grandmother is from here. That kind of makes Akufo-Addo Rawlings' nephew.
Yes.
You know, this house ought to be surrounded by tourists by now. This is a fascinating piece of Ghanaian.
Maybe if you get there, you see a whole lot of how do you call it, obituaries that are made from Volta region. Because this is their house.
It's amazing. Well, who would have thought? President Akufo-Addo is an Akwamu, and so is former President Rawlings. In fact, Akufo-Addo is Rawlings' nephew.
Yeah.
Strictly speaking.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Of course, then before we go, the Department of Communications at the University of Media Arts and Communication Institute of Journalism are training students to adapt to the ever-evolving political communication field in Ghana. Now, in line with that, UNIMAG IG has tasked some of its students to form political parties and run full campaigns as part of their academic work. This afternoon, I'm joined by one of such parties, the Prosperity Vision Party, PVP. But what exactly does the party stand for? Joining me to discuss this is General Secretary of PVP, Sheila Atiagli. Sheila, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And of course, Philip Ankra, National Communications Director of the PVP, also joins me in the studio. Philip, you're also welcome.
Thank you.
So, of all the names, you chose Prosperity.
Yes.
First, tell me why, Sheila.
Looking at the state of Ghana right now, we need prosperity. The country needs prosperity. So it's a befitting name for the party. And since we have Ghana at heart.
Is that the same motivation behind the name Prosperity?
Yes.
Prosperity connotes money.
Yes.
So money as foundation to build on it to become prosperous.
Yes, for everybody.
Exactly. So money is a motivation for you, right?
Yes, we want a Ghana that is flourishing, a Ghana that is thriving, not just for a select few, but for the entire populace. So, you know, in Ghana today, it looks like there's a political class that is sort of enjoying almost all that we have as a people. But we are here to diversify everything, to make sure that the common Joe at the markets is able to, you know, thrive and live a life that is comfortable. And the big man high up there is also able to live his life up there. So it's just a way of sharing the resources across board.
Okay. So Sheila, this political party idea, this is a school project, right?
Yes.
So how are you going about it?
So the whole idea, the main course for the school project is political communication. So the whole idea is sort of grooming the young ones, just like we see at the national levels. So we're supposed to come up with a political name. We have to do all the campaign processes that the whole political community does in the national level. So we have to draw a manifesto. We have to go out to do community services. We have also our opponents, so the opposition team. So we also need to fight our way amongst them and also come out
victorious. Because there's going to be elections.
There's going to be elections after. So how many political parties are competing in this?
5?
No, it's more than 5. I think 9 political parties.
9 political parties. And every political party is seeking to win the support of students.
Yes, across. So the election is not going to be held just in the school. So people outside the school community
can also
allowed to vote. Yes. So it's going to take place in a space of 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So within 24 hours, you have to get people to vote for you to be able to come up top. Aside the debates and other things that will culminate into your marks, you still have to get the votes from people.
So how is the campaign going?
So far, so good. Just this afternoon, we went to the Kotoba B 1 and 2 primary school to donate sanitary products and then stationery to the students over there. Yesterday,
that could constitute vote buying.
No. That's it's just a way of giving back.
Back to society.
You know, they are kids. They are not going to vote. They are not going to vote. So it's just giving back to them.
So it wasn't just the giving part of it, also to educate and also to announce the party.
Okay.
You know, for publicity.
And is this something that you hope to build upon it? We want to go into politics, Sheila?
Well, hopefully, I'm a communication student. I'm actually doing PR. So hopefully.
You do that sometime to come.
Yeah.
If the opportunity should.
I will consider it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are wrapping up. Philip, so your final thoughts on this.
My final
initiative.
take is that everybody should watch out for the Prosperity Vision Party. We are a very formidable, dynamic team that we are coming up with good things, and we hope that the Ghanaian populace will rally behind us and will come up to us come Thursday.
Sheila.
Yes, so we are seeking for your vote, everyone, and we have a very good manifesto. We have good policies. We have the country at heart. So we hope everyone votes for us and everyone watches out for the PVP party.
And Elton, before we go, tomorrow at the Unimark Joel campus, we are launching our manifesto.
Okay.
So we are inviting everybody, every lovers of PVP, to come aboard and support us as we launch our manifesto.
So when I say PVP, what should be the response?
So PVP, Obiara Womubi.
Obiara Womubi.
Yes. Yeah, everyone is involved.
Included. We are driven by a vision and we are guided by prosperity.
Yes,
Obiara Womubi.
Yeah, everyone takes part in the national cake. So
we invite you all to come aboard and support.
We'll be there to hear the manifesto.
Sure.
Thank you so much for coming to Philip and Sheila from the Prosperity Vision Party. Well, folks, that's our show for today. For more stories, log on to our website, myjoyonline.com. Whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope it's profitable this weekend. Have a good weekend. And of course, we've got the Ghana versus Chad match at 7 p.m. Live commentary on Joy 99.7 FM. Enjoy your evening.